Hey, I'm Dorcas, speaker, author, and transformational healing coach. For the past 5 years, I have been joyously healing from a life of abandonment trauma, rape, suicidal ideations, molestation, and so much more. Now I get to live in my purpose while empowering you to embrace the joy of your own healing journey. I unapologetically spoke my truth and I did the work. Now it's time to go deeper as I empower you and let you know that healing is so worth it as we go beyond the healing.
Hello, everyone, and it's your girl Dorcas Pittman, aka Coach Dorcas, and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Healing, the podcast where we're here to have real, relatable conversations that will give you hope and tools that will help you go deeper in your healing journeys. I'm here with a very special guest, Coach Mike James of P&Z Life Coaching. He is also one of my frat brothers. Z5.
Blue
and
Fi,
so
you know.
and so I'm just excited about this conversation from his perspective as a man, as a black man, as a coach, and as a human being, navigating this life beyond healing, navigating this life after you've overcome obstacles and you're just putting one foot in front of the other to make sure that your latter days are better than your latter days are better than your past. And so, Coach Mike, thank you so much for joining me today. And I just want you to take a moment to introduce yourself.
Thank you. First of all, sis, thank you so much for having me. Let me just say this. I made a post. I was going through my pictures and I just lost a cousin who transitioned, lost their battle with cancer. And
Sorry to hear that.
I made a post. Thank you. I made a post where it was two of my cousins and my wife and I, we visited Colorado. I don't know, back in 2015, and both of those cousins have transitioned on. And I was looking, I was like, love on your people and appreciate your people, your family while you have them, because you never know. And I've always wanted to be that type of person. And so I say that to say, let me just first of all give you your roses for what you're doing out here in these streets, man. It's amazing to see your journey from the book, from you putting a lot of speakers, entrepreneurs, coaches, teachers, whatever it may be, they have a big block and putting their face out at with their message, which that's what people want, right? You
Mm-hmm.
you opened up talking about that. We were talking about before we started, rather, the realness. That's what people want. So I just want to give you your roses and
Thank
flowers
you.
and tell you keep going, keep grinding, keep showing, keep shining, because I am beyond proud of you.
Thank
So
you so much.
you're welcome. With that being said, yeah, I always say I'm just a small town country boy born of two Pentecostal Southern Pentecostal preachers that had one scripture in their Bible: be fruitful and multiply, and they did, they obeyed. I'm the youngest of 11 children. So from Phoenix City by way of Fort Mitchell, and my mission is to share my light, love, and positivity with as many people as I can in the time and space that I have. So everything, is energetic, positivity, passionate about helping people. What I do with my coaching, my speaking, even with my teaching or facilitating for a coaching school is just all about sharing all of what we're talking about, with as many people as I can. So I'm just excited to be here and thank you for reaching out to me and giving me the opportunity, because I tell people, doing what you do is one thing, but people want to see that journey as well. So I love doing
Yes.
this even more so than my interviews and recording. I love doing this, sharing the space with somebody else and getting that passion and that story, your story out there, right? Because you have your audience, but when you connect with another audience, it's like that reciprocal, that chain effect where we're just building that snowball of positivity, blessings, etc., etc. So thank you for having me.
I when God gave me the vision for Beyond the Healing, I knew it was more than just women. Someone sent me, and I've said it before, sent me a message and said, "Who is the you for men? Like, who is the you for our men? Because we can't, as women, can't be out here just healing and enjoying this life beyond, and our men, especially our black men." are still suffering in silence. And so, I was just a God, show me the faces of your sons. Show me the faces of your sons that need to be on the podcast. I'm a firm believer in Revelations, he said we overcame the enemy by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimonies. Where the blood has been shed, there's a conjunction word, and there's the and the word of our testimonies. And so we have a duty, as people who've overcome, as those who've gone through things, or as just human beings. No matter what challenges you go through in life, you have a responsibility to that equation, the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimonies. And so that's what it's all about. When I started this journey, I said, God, I just want to be a beacon of hope. I just want to be a beacon of hope, because when you've gone through a season of your life where it was complete darkness, when there was no hope, so you couldn't see a future, and you finally emerge from that, all you want to do is make sure other people never get to that place of hopelessness, or if they are in that place of hopelessness, that they are able to come out because they see that you came out. Mm-hmm. And I'm just saying, being in a place of, disclaimer here, being in a place where almost committing suicide, you don't get any darker than that. And that's the thing. And so anything that I can do to give other people a platform to share their stories, to be a beacon of light in this world, I get to do it. Mm-hmm. I get to do it. He could have chosen anybody, but I get to do this. And one thing Tab said was God could trust me with everything that he allowed me to go through. And it was my basic training. It was my conditioning process so that I can show up as Coach Dorcas, so I can help other women heal, so I can, give them a platform through the magazine or on the podcast. And so when I say having the opportunity to share this space with people like you and anybody who has been on this podcast or any podcast I've done, I don't take it lightly, because we are on an assignment, and it's to be a breath of fresh air. It's to be that hope. It's to shed the positivity. It's to just do all those things that will lighten the burden of so many people who are suffering, who really desire more but don't know how to get to that point. And so we got a job to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Absolutely.
And so you have your coaching business. You are a facilitator with a school. I mean, you are a speaker. You're all those things. But you're also a small town country boy, and from country girl to a country boy. Just navigating through your own journey to becoming who you are today. Let's talk about that. It's just like I met you when you were at undergrad, University of Alabama, but being the youngest of 11,
yeah,
coming from a small town, country town, and being a PK, that part.
Yeah, right. That part. First of all, let me make a little small correction. University of Alabama at Birmingham.
Okay,
UAB.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay, because look, for everybody watching, it's a difference, because somebody, when you said that, somebody watching, they said the RT that just makes my skin crawl, and so I'm like, hold up. But and people say no shade. I live in my truth.
You live in your truth. That's a whole bunch of shade. That's blasphemy. So we're both from Alabama, by the way.
Period. So going back to that thing you said, right, from this very start, and they say humble beginnings. So from the very start, challenges, right? And just a little bit of that is I came into this world not having either grandfather both grandparents, grandmothers still around. And I say the youngest of 11. One sibling I never met because one sibling transitioned before I was born. But that honoring, she was a baby, and that honoring is still, hey, it's 11 of us that comes from P&Z. And when you are from a big family, small town, whatever, I think a lot of times into your adult life, you don't realize, in the easiest terms, the most simple terms, you don't realize how poor or how much you struggled until you look back. Come on, somebody. So I think the biggest thing for me was experiencing loss. Like I said, I was 5 when my father's mother transitioned. I was 11 10 when my mother's mother transitioned. A year later, my mother transitioned. So I was 11 years old when I lost my mother. And fast forward years later, my father was able to see his youngest, the baby boy, graduate college, walk across the stage December 2007 from UAB. And the next summer, my dad transitioned. So that's just that. I'm not even talking about the cousins, the uncles, the aunties. I was talking about a cousin that I just lost.
Yes.
And so it's advantages and disadvantages. Being from a large family, one side of that is, yeah, you got a large family. It's amazing, blessing. You got experiences for days, but you also experience a lot of loss.
Yeah.
So doing that in, you know, the strict of households, no matter where I am today, how we grew up, the things that maybe was a lack of my parents, because I think there's stages of healing, and one of those healing, awakening, whatever you want to call it, enlightenment, one of those stages, and I'm sure we'll get more into it. One of those stages, I feel like a lot of times can be frustration or anger,
That part.
because you feel like it was so much that someone didn't give me or that I lacked out on. So being able to look in retrospect, like I say, in hindsight, knowing that I didn't even know how tough I had it, but in hindsight, realizing and being able to appreciate that my parents did what they knew to do. They did all they could do with the resources, the talents, the dissonance, the programming, indoctrination that they had. And that's why I sit here fully in this person that I am today with this across my chest. P&Z, that's a nod to my parents. People say, well, why didn't you go with this name, or why don't you use your name? That's all your social media. Yeah, because every time I do this, even though I'm a solopreneur, I don't have a team of a lot of people pulling strings and all that, but I'm representing family, legacy. Every time I'm on stage, every time I'm speaking facilitating for a school, every time I'm hosting an event, every time I'm coaching, it's P&Z. My father was the late great Bishop Prince James Jr., and my mother was Evangelist Izola James, known as Zola affectionately by her family. So that's where the P&Z comes from. So, that's kind of an overview of all the things that got me to where I am today, and being able to sit fully and confidently in the man that all those experiences made me, in short.
Oh, that was a lot, but in everything that you said, the gems are there. The gems are there, and that's one thing I really want people to understand is that, especially my story. I was raised by my grandparents. um I wasn't raised in a house with either my biological parents or either of my any of my siblings. And so you being one of 11 in the house with your siblings, all of those things, then on the other side of the coin, I'm with my grandparents and no siblings. But also, it wasn't until later in life that I realized they loved me the only way they knew how. They gave me what they had. And even though it may not have been what I needed, or it may not
Mm,
have equipped me with all the tools and all the the know-how that I needed to navigate this world, they gave me what they had. And because they gave me what they had, I'm here, and I've been able to take what they did give me Even though it was food, clothing, and shelter, that was their way of loving me. They loved me the way they knew how, the way they were taught to love. Because, like I said, like you said, you don't realize how poor you were until hindsight is 2020, and
Yeah,
you
you be
like,
like,
what?
what?
Like, man, we were poor, but you're surrounded by people who are loving you the best way they know how, and we have to honor that. We have to honor that. No matter what went lacking, no matter what you thought you needed and didn't get, we have to honor that. And so many people don't honor that. We get so focused on the what we didn't get, and I was one of those people that I failed to realize that I did get something. And it was that something that sustained me until I was able to acquire what I didn't get.
Yeah. And since let me add this for those watching. I'm a big believer, firm believer in autonomy, right? The ability to direct your own path. So for someone watching, they may say, "No, I don't have to honor it. You don't know what I went through." I'll say the reason why a great choice would be, right? I don't like absolutes, but I would add to that a reason why a great choice would be to honor it, because there could always be worse.
That part.
As horrible as your situation, somebody's listening and they're healing right now. Somebody's listening, they may be going through it right now, but as bad as your situation or circumstance may be or could be, there's someone worse. And people say it can't get any worse. What if you didn't exist? Right? What if, again, I told you I had an older sister I never met, a baby. You know what I mean? So it's so many circumstances, situations where even if you're able to experience some things, now perspective says, what can I gain from this horrible situation or horrible past that I had, that I can at least look back and say, I did experience that. Now at least I know what not to do, or I know what I can gain to change. So that's what I would add to say for that person who may say, nah, I don't agree with you there, Coach Dorr, because I ain't got to honor it. Yeah, it would behoove you to honor that, because it's your predestined path that someone maybe wish they would have had, despite how bad you may think it is. So I just wanted to add
That I'm glad you did add that, because you know how people
Oh
can
yeah,
be,
for
especially
sure.
when you're in it and you're feeling it. And oftentimes those statements come from an unhealed place. No, not oftentimes. Those statements do.
Right.
I'm going to be
99.9 period.
that is the source. They are coming from the source of your pain. They're coming from that unhealed place. And we I would like to say, as humans, we should always want better. When I say that, we should always want to evolve, to grow, to be stretched, even though it's uncomfortable. Because if you're not growing, what are you doing?
Yeah.
If you're not growing, what are you doing? And so that is why he said, I would behoove you to honor it, because if it wasn't for that, you wouldn't be here. Yes, I was raised by my grandparents, but what if my mom didn't keep me at all? What if?
Yeah.
What if there's so many what ifs out there that it could be worse? And so shifting your perspective and saying, you know what? I'm just gonna, and in that honoring, that's where that forgiveness piece comes in too. Because once you've truly forgiving them and whatever, you're able to honor the experience. You're able to honor the experience. You're able to honor that part of your journey, because you did get something from it. You got something from it. You just have
Absolutely.
to shift your perspective and think about, what did I learn from this? Because we all heard, what doesn't kill you make you stronger. it makes you stronger because there's a lesson in everything that we go through. God doesn't waste a single thing. He doesn't waste anything. He doesn't. In all things, he wants us to just really honor whatever it is and identify and acknowledge what did we gain, even though this experience may have been traumatic, even though it may have caused a tremendous amount of pain, and you may still be hurting from it. But really, what did you gain from it? It may be endurance. It may be strength. Like, because people tell me, girl, you how did you do it? I didn't. It was God carrying me. But in that, I realized just how dope I really am.
Mm-hmm.
Just how strong I really am. I mean, just how powerful I really am, because I'm choosing to create a path of me being exactly who I'm supposed to be.
Absolutely.
Just like you did. You're choosing, you chose a path. You could have done anything, but you chose a path. And God gives us freedom of choice, y'all. He gives us freedom of choice. And, I said on one episode, you can no longer blame anybody on where you are in life. You're an adult. You pay taxes. You can be tried as an adult. I mean,
Correct.
if you're no longer
Absolutely.
considered a minor, I mean, at the end of the day, the only person responsible for you is you. The only person you can control is you. So, yes, you have the authority, you have the ability to choose your own path. Either it's going to be the path where you wallow in it and continue to say, woe is me, or it's the path where you pick yourself up and say, what doesn't kill me equips me to keep moving.
Yeah. Coach, you said something that I a lot of times often in my sessions or when I'm speaking or guest, I wear this hat, so for those listening and can't see, it says CEO on it. It's not. I was at a grocery store one day and a young woman, she was a cashier, and she said, CEO, you're a CEO? I smile. I said, yes, and you are too. And she was like, she's thinking in her head, man, I'm at Publix. What you mean? I mean, what you mean? And I replied back to her, and why I wear this hat so much. You can see, man, this hat been sweated out and everything. I wear it because we all are CEOs. And what you were just talking about, we have a choice. You are the CEO of your life. You have the ability and the responsibility to choose to hire and fire situations and circumstances, people in and out of your life. You cannot control what happens all the time, but you can control how you respond to it. That takes executive decisions. That's CEO. And so that's why I wear this as often as possible when I'm doing things, even when I'm speaking to teens, because it's like, listen, you're a CEO too. I'm just trying to make it out of high school. What you talking about, coach? You are. You got a choice to make. You can lay in the bed. Your parents can do their best at disciplining you. But going back to what you said, coach, you can only control one person in your life, and that is you. I can't control. I've talked to clients before, parents, like, as much as you think you are in control, you ain't in control of that, because they spend more time not around you than with you. So many other influences that they come out the womb with this in their hand and they know how to work stuff we didn't even know. Like, what? Yeah, I remember when I told people, call me after 7, you know what I'm saying? Or I ain't in my weekend minutes yet. So
that part,
again, back to what you said, and just kind of echoing that, reiterating that, is we have a choice. And I always talk about, I'm a transformation coach, but if anything else, it would be mindset, because I always say we choose how we can look at things, whether it be good, bad, and different situations. We can't control everything, but we can control how we respond. And that's responsibility. How we respond. We have the ability to respond. That's our responsibility. And that's why we each are the CEO of our lives.
That's so good. That is so good. that's what this is all about, y'all. This is what Beyond the Healing is all about, because all you may be thinking right now, oh, that sounds good, but it's, that's easier said than done. But once you choose to navigate the journey, it becomes second nature.
Mm.
It
Yeah.
becomes second nature, and you don't have to think about it anymore. I mean, now when things happen, like, my automatic response is, one, to acknowledge it. Okay, why am I feeling this way? What is the root of the issue? What's the root of it all? And once I'm able to identify that, I can deal with it. It no longer it no longer stunts me. It no longer holds me hostage with me sitting here trying to navigate it, not knowing the tools, navigating it in all my emotions and my feelings. This is not negating it. It's just the fact that I'm choosing to control my emotions instead of allow them to control me. It doesn't make me numb. I still feel it, but I'm not paralyzed in my feelings. I acknowledge them, I process them, and I choose. Either I'm going to sit here and wallow in it, or I'm going to okay, this won't happen again right here. Thanks.
Right.
Thanks for showing me. Thank you for this experience. And try my best to learn from it. But it wasn't always like this. It wasn't. You were talking about, the loss of your parents. I lost my nana in 2015. That was my girl. That was my best friend. Like, she was equivalent to me losing a parent. And it was so unexpected. And it was just like, I entered a state of depression like crazy. And every year around the holidays, I would get depressed because she wasn't here. So I was choosing, even I have kids now. So even though I have small kids, hey, it's a Christmas trees, I would get depressed because I was thinking about the fact I no longer had her with me. I could no longer drive Highway 5 and go to Wilcox County and spend the holidays with her because she showed me unconditional love. She was my earthly representation of unconditional love for so long.
Mm.
And I thank God for my husband because he finally just put a mirror in front of my face and said, you know what, you have to stop this. And she died in 2015. This wasn't until after, this maybe like 2022-ish, because in 2020, my aunt died of COVID. Same side of the family. My uncle, he didn't die from COVID, but he died during COVID in March, end of April. So we couldn't go to any of those funerals.
Mm-hmm.
And you're surrounded by this, and this was like my dad's side of family. So these are Nana's kids. So we're going back and we are going to Nana's house where everybody just slept anywhere. And the
Yeah.
door was open. And so he finally was like, you have to stop this. You have to stop this because every year you get depressed. Nana's not coming back. And I know that she wouldn't want you like this. And so in that moment, I had to decide. I had to make the choice. I had to put my big girl panties on. I didn't get mad at him. I just had to, and this is in the middle of my healing journey, I had to say, you know what? I need to get my life together. Because what am I gaining from being depressed every like from November to December? What am I gaining from it? What are you gaining from choosing to stay in it?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure your answer is gonna be
nothing. Right.
I'm pretty sure your answer is gonna be nothing. And so on the tail end of this, with you losing your parents, you know, how, and this is for somebody. This is a perspective of beyond the healing that is needed, because we all lived through a global pandemic not even 5 years ago, and there has been
Mm-hmm.
so much loss. And being able to see the sun, being able to breathe again after that loss, like what choices did you make? And how have you been able? I know you're surrounded by your siblings, but still, loss of a parent is a loss of a parent. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care
Yeah.
who is I don't care how much family is around. A loss of a parent is a loss of a parent, and to
Right.
lose both parents.
Yeah. It's interesting because you were talking about, I'm going to come back to something you mentioned, right?
Okay.
Something that we all have experienced, right? And starting in 2020. But I can remember my mother transitioned on a Sunday, and in my uh 11 years, my short 11 short years of life, I can count on one hand the Sundays or church she missed, right? And so I remember we were trailing in different cars. We all loaded up. We were trailing the ambulance in different cars, and I can remember my brother sitting beside me. He looked over at me. He said, he kind of touched me. He said, "You gonna be all right?" And I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Okay, just make sure you're gonna be all right." Because we kind of knew. I was young, but we kind of knew, right? We kind of knew. And I tell you one reason why. For me, I knew, and these are the words that were on top of his words that I knew. Um, we were going in and out checking on mom when we got back from church and things like that. And I can remember my mom, she was the epitome and the definition of a praying woman. And she was praying when we got back home. And I can remember we were going in and out. And I think the way some of my siblings explain it, I always tell them, I'm gonna have to send this to them because I always tell them it's amazing I'm the baby and I remember more than y'all. but, but anyway, some of my siblings say maybe they were in the room or whatever. I just remember I focused in on mom and she was praying, and I remember she was on her knees. On my mom and dad had a California King, and she was praying, and she kind of slumped to the side where like she was sitting down with her arm resting on the bed. And she's the last two sentences that I remember my mom saying is, "I'm tired, I'm ready."
Mm.
And so in this whole travel, right, my brother said that, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be all right. So that's that, right? Fast forward to my father again, the honor and the privilege of being able to see his baby graduate from college, right? And every now and again, Father's Day, I share that picture where we took back to
Yeah,
back
I've
when I was
seen it.
graduating, and a proud moment because he was able to see that and witness it. Now, fast forward, and I'm going somewhere here. Can you tell I'm a
Oh
Southern
yeah.
preacher kid?
Yeah. You good.
so,
You good. I'm from the South. Come on now.
so listen. So the pandemic, right? I'm talking about how much I love family. My brother and I, the same brother, by the way, who was in the car with me on that Sunday in '95, we planned a family trip to get all the siblings together because we realized that with 10 of us still being here, we were always getting together for, the
Mm.
graduations or a funeral or wedding, you know what I'm saying? Like it was no like in between. So we was like, listen, we got to do something. We pre-planned a family trip, and the family trip landed pre-planned in months, almost more than a year, or maybe at least 7 months in advance, February 2020. So now we're faced with hearing news and different things, reports and stuff coming out and blah, blah, blah. Do you do it? Do you not? We talked about it and we said, you know what? This may be our last time having this opportunity. So we're going to do it anyway. So we did it. All 10 of us, some of the spouses, nephew, two, three generations, there to experience that. And it's so amazing. No regrets. But again, with that, it was about close to 30 plus, maybe 30 of us. I could do the math. I wrote all the names down, but probably 30 of us. We left there, and out of that 30, probably about 20, at least 20 got COVID. So now you're thinking like, man, you start thinking, and this is early on. Now I'm telling you, this is March now,
I'm doing
2020.
I'm doing the math.
Yeah. So this is March 2020, right? And so at that time, it was still a lot of not knowing. It was still a lot of not knowing. And what happened when it came out and so many got sick, and all this stuff, later in April, my oldest brother, who happens to be my godfather, he never recovered. He transitioned on, had some health issues and everything like that. So now, to this day, it's 9 of us because we lost my older brother. So with this being early on in the pandemic, it was a lot of blame and a lot of this and a lot of point fingers. Nobody knew. It wasn't the end of 2020. This is still when the reports were saying, we don't know you.
What do they call it? The Chinese something and all kinds of stuff.
We're not even going to talk about. We're in a political season, so I won't go there. This beyond the healing. So we're going to be beyond. But we're not even going to talk about the former president. But anyway, this is when it was so much miscommunication and easy to not know what to do because it's this way. It's only this group of people. Oh, it's this, it's that.
Yes.
Anyway, long story short, exactly. So long story short, getting beyond that, the choice. What is the choice that I made? The choice I made is going all the way back to everything that P&Z instilled in me, all my siblings. I also say that I think it's written like on some different blurbs and stuff I've done. And I say that each time I get to be alive, I'm representing the 11. I'm representing the nieces and nephews, and now the great nieces and nephews, my parents, my grandparents. I'm representing something. So the choice I make is, Mike, no matter what, which is how I came up with my 4Ks. No matter what, I got to keep going, keep grinding, keep showing, keep shining. The going and the grinding is for me. It's my reminder that I don't care how much I pray. I don't care how much I meditate. I don't care how much I write it down, journal. If I don't do the work, faith without works is dead. If I don't do the work, nothing ain't going to happen. You have to act. You got to act.
Y'all hear that?
That's for me. The show and the shine, that's for the enemy. That's for the haters. That's for the people who say, you can't do that. You can't write your book. You can't have a podcast. You ain't going to get with Auntie Tab. You ain't going to have your business. You ain't going to facilitate. You ain't going to do all this stuff, right? The show and the shine is for all the stuff that come against you, all the barriers, the blocks. And so when I tell people that, I always break it down because I'm like, you have to show, you have to shine. You have to make that choice to say, no matter what I'm going through, despite my first dub of the day, my YouTube video I released this week, I said, listen, life been lifing, but what are we talking about right now? It's a choice. You got to make a choice. You can wallow in it, right? Or you can overcome it, stand on top of it, say, I'm still going to show up. Because I know that somebody needs this phase of me as well. Now you step away because you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't shine light from a dark place. You can't love from a loveless place. So the most selfless thing you can do sometimes is be selfish. Pour into your cup so you can love and pour from the overflow. But at the same time, I have a mission. I have light, love, and positivity to share. So that's the choice I made. How do you overcome all this loss, Mike? You're experiencing loss right now. You mentioned you lost a cousin. This and that. The choice. And it's back to what you said, Coach. I make the choice every day that no matter what happens, no matter what it looks like, heck, the entrepreneurial journey, the employment journey, the life journey is not hard. But I've seen quotes in different posts that says, you choose your heart, right? You choose your heart. What are you going to do about your situation? So it's, again, how did I overcome those things? And the loss is making that choice to say, okay, well, now I'm representing them in everything that I do. So I have, again, that ability to respond. I have the responsibility to show up and show out.
That's so good. That is so good. And, HOPE stands for healing opportunities presented every day. Because every day that God gives us breath is an opportunity to heal. We just have to choose to do it. Keyword, choose to do it.
Yeah.
That's what hope is. I mean, that's the acronym he gave me, because like I said, my legacy is going to be hope and healing. I gave you hope and I empowered you to heal. That's because once you heal and you're no longer blinded by the pain of it all, by all of that other stuff, it's like you have the capacity, you have the strength, you have the tenacity to tap into that hope. And every day you have to decide what your reality is going to be.
Yeah.
In what you can control.
Mm-hmm.
Not what you can't control, what you can control, because at the end of the day, the only person we can control is ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's all about, like I said, we have a responsibility. How are you going to react to it? How are you going to respond to life? How are you going to respond to life? How are you going to respond to the loss? How are you going to respond to the pain? Not how anybody else respond, but how are you going to respond to it?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. Like, once you get it, you get it.
Yeah.
Like, knowledge is power. No one can take it from you. So once you get it, no one can take it from you. I don't care what happens. I'm still human. But at the end of the day, nobody can take this joy that I have from me. Nobody can take my healing from me.
Mm.
Nobody can do it because it's mine. And if my joy offends you, if my joy makes you feel some type of way, then I need you to heal so that you can experience it and not be mad that I have joy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And not be mad that I'm not allowing all the loss to keep me left behind.
Yeah. Man, oh, that's so beautiful. Since when you said that, I thought of something, and because I'm always thinking about when I'm talking, right, when I'm teaching, when I'm a guest, whatever I'm doing, I always think about what is the audience thinking. And so maybe someone right now in that healing phase, maybe they hadn't even started the journey. They just know they're hurting. They ain't got the healing. They know they hurting. And they say, yeah, okay, yeah, y'all saying that, cool, whatever, but you saying heal. And so the first positive spin is maybe this is a catalyst for you to heal, so you can reflect like we are, right? And then something you said, and for if it offends you, then maybe you need to heal. Someone just said, how, right? And I would venture to say a question, an open-ended question. What are you looking at? You said your husband told you and like put that mirror up and like you got to stop. Until that mirror reflected back to you, there's a possibility that you were looking at it's coming, the holiday. I know what's going to happen. This is what's happening. So what I put out in the universe, it comes back to me. Depression is happening because it does. Seasonal depression, we hear, right? You're expecting it, so it comes. You receive what you put out there. What are you looking at? I'm looking at my hurt. I'm looking at my hurt. You made a decision when you saw that and you said something. You paused. You said, I didn't get mad, but I'm sure you had to take it in. Like, oh, yeah, you're right. But give me a second to process this.
Ain't nobody tell you to point it out. I mean,
right.
How rude.
Exactly. So with that being said, I venture to say, if you are wondering, okay, how do I start it? Like, what are you looking at? Look at the healing. Look at the other side, right? Look at the other side. The old gospel song said, reach beyond the break. Look at the other side of what healing looks like for you. I have these issues. I have these issues. I have these issues. The affirmation of I'm healed, I'm healed, I'm healed, that's a totally different perspective. And now you wake up every day. It's like, look, I don't know when it's going to come, but I'm expecting it. And then it drop kicks you in the chest and you're like, whoa, I don't know how I got here. Yes, you do, because you start looking for it. You were in expectancy of receiving what's on the other side of that break down the healing. So I just want to say that because I know somebody say, yeah, you, but how? And this, what are you looking at?
So you when you mentioned affirmation, I thought about, so with all my clients who I work with, I created this affirmation of healing that I sent to them. And the first three sentences are, I am worthy of healing. I am joyously healing. I am healed. The last five sentences are, I am worthy of healing. I am joyously healing. I am healed. I am whole. I am transformed.
Mm,
So we start by affirming ourselves in the healing. Then there's a whole bunch of identity in the middle of it. And then we end by affirming ourselves in the healing. I have my clients, like they have their assignments, they have to write things on their mirror and I in their bathrooms, and I have them write it eye level. So you don't have to look up and see, you don't have to look down. So when you look straight, it's going to be right there. And you have to begin to speak those things, because whatever you believe, you become.
mm-hmm.
As long as I was taking on the identity of the molestation, the abandonment, the trauma, the rape, the suicidal ideations, the anxiety, the depression, as long as I continue to allow those things to be my identity, that was all I saw. That was all I spoke. That was
Mm-hmm.
all I believed. But once I learned better and I realized that's not who I am, that was the residue that was left over from the trauma that allowed me to see something that really wasn't there. When you put on too much makeup or costume, you can't recognize who you see in the mirror.
Mm,
So it had
mm,
become it was a costume, it was makeup, and it had been on there so long that I didn't even know who I was. That's all I saw. But once I began to wash my face, once I began to identify and acknowledge, and once I began to understand exactly who I was and all those things, they're a part of my journey, but it's not who I am. I wasn't born molestation. I wasn't born abandonment. I was born Dorcas.
mm-hmm.
And Dorcas is a woman of good works. Dorcas is whole. Dorcas is healed. Dorcas is powerful. Dorcas is a force.
Yeah.
Dorcas is strong. Dorcas is, like he says, I am that I am. Whatever you put in there, that's who he is. Who am I? Who are you? What are you looking at?
Mm-hmm.
What is your perspective of you? And that's the thing about it. I'm a transformational healing coach. You're a transformation coach. Like you said, it starts in a mindset and shifting your perspective. What are you looking at? What is your perspective of you? What is your perspective of your situation? We talk about the glass half full, being a pessimist, being an optimist, but like, whose perspective do you have? Like, whose perspective do you have?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like, the how is, you start there. What are you looking at?
Yeah.
What When you look in the mirror, I tell people the hardest thing that you can do is like come face to face with you.
Yes. Yeah.
When you have to come face to face with you, the person that you're responsible for. And coach, I really believe that's why so many people choose not to heal, because they have to come face to face with themselves in the aspect of, you are choosing to stay here.
Absolutely.
And so what are you looking at? What is your perspective? And I want you to think about your life now, your pain, your whatever it is you're going through. And I want you to flip the coin and think about what your life would be like without it. We're easy to say, oh, if I had $1 million, my life be like this. I have this house. I'll go this place. I'll be traveling. I'll be doing this. We're quick to say that, but I want you to take that same energy and say, if I wasn't allowing the actions of others to keep me stagnant. If I didn't allow my pain, my trauma, my losses to keep me down in this dark space, where would I be?
Mm-hmm.
How would my life be different? So take that same energy and that same excitement that we get about, oh, if I win the multi-million dollar lottery, I'm gonna do this, and this. Take that same energy, take that same like mindset and apply it to self and apply it to your life and apply it to what, like, we were all born with a purpose. And so many people are like, I don't know my purpose in life. What are you looking at?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because beyond the healing is having a perspective. It's, in fact, I'm only okay, it happened, whoop de doo, whoop de doo, I got the scars to prove it. It is. I got scars because scars are evidence of something that's healed. I got the
Mm-hmm.
scars to prove it. I got my testimony I got my testimony. I got my story. But guess what? I'm not living there because I have work to do. Because He said, "My latter shall be greater than my past." But also, like you said earlier, faith without works is dead. So I have the faith that everything that God has shown me is possible. But what am I doing? What
Yeah.
moves am I making? How am I putting one foot in front of the other and doing the work? Because I tell you quick, the unhealed Dorcas would not have been able to interview Tabitha Brown. The
Mm-hmm.
unhealed Dorcas wouldn't have been confident and bold enough to even make the video.
Yeah.
That chick she was, even though you experienced me back in the day, you experienced me in my college years, you would have,
Yeah, we go back like four flats. I
we
want
go back
everybody to know that.
like we strolled together. We road trip
Period.
together. Like,
Right.
but you would have never known that was my story.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I was
Sis, look, just keep it real. I did not know the story until I opened up that book. And so, look, this is a plug. This is a shameless plug for Coach. If y'all ain't got the book, you need to get it. Period. I mean, because that's part of it.
this
Like people don't
man,
know. And
this
you talk about the mask and the makeup, and just going back to that, I'm kick it right back to you. You talk like money. I say this all the time. I say, look, money can't buy you happiness, but it can help a whole lot,
a
right? When you ain't
whole
broke.
lot.
However, if you ain't healed, you're just gonna be an unhealed, broken person with $1 million. And you probably gonna lose it as quick as you get it. So either way, I don't care what happens, whether it's physical, mental, social, physical, financial, spiritual. You either way, it's all about what we are here for. You have to look to, get to, and live beyond the healing.
Oh, that is so good. And he's like, he did the shameless plug. If you want to know my business, get the book because
I know.
he
Yeah. Sis, you oh I think that's the first thing I told you. I think I put like, oh my God, like it's just it's that right there is healing. When you can be vulnerable and transparent in a place where you can be in that situation, but to release some things, because listen, as long as stuff just rest and reside and play around and stump on your subconscious don't know what's real or fake until you make it. So write the vision, make it plain. I am sure with each page and letter, I ain't say word, I said letter on the page. I'm sure there were blood, sweat, and tears, literally,
listen. Let me tell you
and
something.
healing that happened.
The conversations I had with God, because He gave me the title of the book while I was on the psych ward,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
like with no shoestrings, no shower curtain, the water is on the timer. Like, I've never been to jail before a day in my life, but that was the closest thing I will ever get to jail. You hear me? Because your
Yeah.
phone calls are on the schedule. It's the phone on the wall like a pay phone. Like, but that was necessary.
Yeah.
But in that in on that bed, He said you have to speak your truth. And
Mm.
He gave me the title. And there were things that I wanted to put. He said, "No, don't do it." I was like, but I wanted to put it from an unhealed place. I wanted to
Mm.
I wanted to put their stuff on Front Street. because he was making me put all my stuff on Front Street. But
Right.
but there were also things that I didn't want to put that he made me put.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all about obedience. He said, it's time for you to speak your truth. And it was a lot of pain in that. And even when I go back and read it, and I have to do the disclaimer with chapters, once you get past chapter 3, you good. Whew. I mean, once you get past chapter 3, there I can give you tools and strategies and tips and everything else.
Right.
But I read it, when I read it now and I get emotional, it's because they're tears of thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
That in spite of it all, I choose to go beyond it all. Up until the I pressed the button to publish, all these thoughts went in my head, like, what are they gonna say? What are they gonna think? And people in my family had their words. They were human.
Mm-hmm.
But me healing, it wasn't about them.
Mm-hmm.
I was being very selfish in my healing, because, and it made sense because my mentor, she said, not just me, but me first. Because before I had any other role, it was just me and God.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to take care of me in order to do the assignment. And I tell anybody, I give you my overflow, I don't give you what's in my cup.
Period. That's it.
And I asked God, I said, I need you to make me real uncomfortable when I'm starting to tap into my cup, because what's in my cup belongs to me. And so he answered my prayers, and I feel heavy, and I feel real off when I start tapping into my cup. And then I said, okay, it's time for me to take a step back, because I can't give you what's in my cup, because what's in my cup is for me. So I need to get in a position. I need to get posture. I need to reflect and say, okay, what have I been doing that has been eliminating the overflow?
Mm-hmm.
All that comes beyond the healing.
Yeah.
It gets easier. My prayers are very clear and concise. Write the vision, say the prayer. Don't fumble. God, you know what I need? No, bro, I need this, and this. When I'm doing this, I need you to make it real uncomfortable for me. When I want to speak the wrong stuff, I don't need, the words need to get stuck right there, and I start
They
coughing.
ain't coming out.
Like they
Right.
ain't coming out. Like
Yeah.
that's how intentional you have to be, and just understand. And I say this again: we heal in silence. We don't suffer in silence. And your healing, the person who's asking, I mean, how? Maybe you need to just take a step back and stop focusing on everybody else. Stop announcing what you're doing. Stop telling all these people, I'm trying to heal, I'm healing, pray for me. And just take a step back.
Mm.
Get you a coach. Get you someone. Get you a therapist that is going to help you navigate this healing journey, because we're not meant to do life alone. And healing in silence doesn't mean you do it by yourself. It means that you don't have to announce it to the world. You don't have to tell them you're becoming exactly who God created you to be, because guess what? Your girl went ghost. I got off Facebook. I didn't do anything. Literally. And when I emerged again, I had written Breaking the Silence, Christianity and Mental Illness. And it has been all gas, no breaks ever since then. So, Coach Mike, thank you. Thank you for the gems that you have dropped. Thank you for just your yes. Because what we have to realize, people don't have to give you their yes.
Facts.
They don't have to give you your yes. They don't have to pour for free. They don't have to empower for free. They don't have to uplift for free. But when you give me your yes, when you gave me your yes, you was giving God your yes. And there's somebody who needed to hear your voice.
Mm-hmm.
Your voice as a brother, as a son, as a man who's lost and healed, who's had many losses, but in those losses, you are still empowering. You're still telling people to keep going, keep shining,
Mm-hmm.
keep grinding.
Yeah.
So I thank you. Any last words for our listeners, our viewers, before we wrap this thing up?
Man, I just say again that like I said earlier, a catalyst. You just gave another catalyst for someone who was listening, because I think a lot of times people get into that easier said than done. Yes, absolutely. We're not even saying that healing is easy. We're not even saying that what you do and how you show up on the other side is easy. However, what we are saying is, when you shared that, sis, that I was writing this in the psych ward. So somebody out there heard that, and that was probably the first time it hit them that, oh, okay, she has been through something. Because people always think, woe is me. Well, you saying that, but you don't know what I'm going through. You don't know what I've been through. So I would just say, hopefully that was another catalyst. And I would just say, to echo what you just finished with, to plug in to a community, to a network, to someone. I don't care who you reach out to in the helping fields, whether you need a therapist, a counselor, a mentor, coach, consultant, reach out and let someone know, get the help to start your healing journey. And, sis, again, just thank you for reaching out. And just the last thing you said too, in terms of people learning how to set healthy boundaries, both yes and no are complete sentences. So when I said yes, it was a complete sentence. After that, whatever came with it, cool. And the no can be a complete sentence. So I want people to know that as well. Like, a lot of times that's a stressor. Like, oh man, I'm doing this. And you said it. You need to pull back and focus on you. You ain't got to announce it. You ain't got to. I'm coming off of one of those short seasons myself of I had to pull back. Coach, when you going to go live? When you going to do? Overflow. So I appreciate it. Again, for your audience and everyone listening and watching, I appreciate it. And of course, I'm Coach Mike James everywhere. So let me know you heard me on Beyond the Healing.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So, hey, it has been another amazing episode of Beyond the Healing, the podcast. You know what I say? Give yourself grace, because you won't always get it right. The grace that God gives us when we don't get it right. I love you with the love of the Lord, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Don't forget to like, follow, and share. And until next time, peace.
Peace.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next week for another episode of Beyond the Healing.